and welcome to another podcast. We're back after Christmas. All right, so we're back on schedule. Had a busy Christmas. I'm doing stilts at a carnival in central Hong Kong, and I was asking about stilts. How do you do it? Well, it's quite easy. Drywall stilts are just the same as the pole stilts, which I learnt on. I learnt on the sticks, but nowadays people have the flat feet drywall stilts. But no, just use heel first, and pretend they're poles. It's the same. All right. Well, it's great to be back, and a couple of comments about the last podcast. That was a bit obscure. It was a very old interview by me. I was there pretending to be Formless Formby. It was all me, okay? It was about 15 years ago. All right. So, welcome back. Today we're talking to Shea Freedomhowler. Yes, that is his real name. He's an American-based clown, director, producer. I probably didn't talk enough to him, but so maybe I'll talk to him again. But it's nice to get things running again. He's a really great guy. He does solo shows. He does ensemble circus shows. He's a director. He's a producer. He does charitable work with Clowns Without Borders. That's an organisation, Clowns Without Borders. He does festival shows around the world. He's been to Edinburgh Festival in the UK a few times. And he also has kind of like a travelling museum, a collection of old school, traditional, classic circus memorabilia. So that's pretty amazing. This is my first interview I did on Skype, because I'm in Hong Kong and Shea is in America. So the audio quality is even lower than normal. And also I don't think that Shea could see me. So whenever I wanted to cut in, he just carried on talking. So that's what happened there. But wow, great stuff. Shea, where can you find Shea? His website is... Give me a second. Let's have a look. Here we are. His website is www.freelovecircus.com. And if you want to check me out, my website is www.thebigbenshow.com. And incidentally, if you want to check out the old podcasts, I'm only putting about 4 up at a time here, because this is a free podcasting thing. So there's only enough memory to put about 3 or 4 at a time here on iTunes or wherever you are. So if you want to check out the older podcasts, the first podcast I did, then just go to www.thebigbenshow.com, and if you scroll down, you will see links to all the old podcasts, all thousands and thousands. No, there's about 1 or 2. Okay, there's 1 or 2 so far. Okay, that's it from me. Let's go over to the amazing Mr. Shea Freedomhowler. Yeah! Just in case there's somebody, Shea, in this universe who doesn't know what you do, just briefly, what is it that you do? What is your career? What do you do?
I am a circus performer and proprietor. I have a collection of oddities, curiosities, and other strange things that I take around to fairs and festivals and all sorts of things. I'm also a clown and have been street performing and working all over the world, entertaining people of all ages.
Fantastic! All right, brilliant stuff. How did you get started? Because it's such an unusual career, what we do. How did you get started?
So I was an actor for a long time, just in high school, and when in my last year in secondary school, I guess is what they call it in the UK, when I was in my last year, I learned how to juggle, and I was able to play a character in a play that juggled. And then when I went off to college, there's a really good juggling club at Humboldt State University where I went to school, and so I sort of obsessed over it, and expanded the club, started the Humboldt Circus, and I've been directing, producing, choreographing, and performing ever since. But,
Brilliant.
The passion really comes from, being an actor who learned how to juggle. But when I'm a clown, it felt like it was something a little more than just acting, and it really once I got to college, it was just all I did.
Yeah, well,
it still is. Yeah.
That's quite similar to me. Yeah, I always loved being on stage in the school plays at school, and I learned to juggle, and it turned out to be a way to be able to be on stage. Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Do you have any influences? Did anything influence you? Parents, friends, things you were interested in?
Yeah, definitely. When I was growing up in the San Francisco area, my parents would take me to whatever festivals were going on, and I was able to see the Pickle Family Circus a number of times.
Pickle Family Circus.
Yeah, and the Pickle Family Circus was a big influence, and I've read their books and gone forward to meet a lot of the former and current members of it. And after my first year in college, I went to the San Francisco School of the Circus Arts, which is the school that the Pickle Family Circus helped create. And when I was in high school, the play that I was in, where I was able to juggle, the woman who was brought in to direct it was a former aerialist and founder of the San Francisco Circus School, and she used to be in the Pickle Family Circus. And and so Bill Irwin was always a really big influence in clowning.
Bill Irving.
Bill Irwin.
Irwin, yeah. Bill Irwin, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I saw that video of you in doing the play where you were juggling. I think it was one of the first videos you ever sent me when I first before I met you. Yeah, and that was the start. Oh, what the Pickle Family Circus? What is that? Is it a family circus that's been running for many years in the States?
It's like a traditional one-ring European style circus.
Oh yeah,
But they would perform without a top.
Okay.
They just had sidewalls, and it was open air.
Okay.
Which is kind of different than most circuses. But they, they had a lot. They started in the 80s, I believe, and so they had a lot of influence of, the civil rights and everything that was going on in America and San Francisco at that time. But the Pickle Family Circus was just a show that I would go see, and I remember being maybe 4 or 5 years old and running through this fair lot to their little open area, topless, big top, and being so excited to see all the colors and movement and silly characters.
Yeah. Okay. I was influenced by I guess Cirque du Soleil and Archaeos was starting out when I was at university. I was influenced by them. And as a kid, I did go to the circus a few times, and I used to love silent movies like Charlie Chaplin and stuff like that. So I guess that's where my clowning comes from.
Yeah. And I also went to a lot of juggling festivals. Juggling festivals were, of course, it was encouraging for my skill, and met lots of good friends. And I've been to lots of juggling festivals, and I helped coordinate the Humboldt Juggling Festival for 3 years. So juggling's been a big influence in my career.
I think juggling was big for me. I mean, in Europe in the late 80s, early 90s, the juggling festivals really took off here. And that was just when I was in university learning how to juggle, so that was a big influence for me. Was it in America? America has the IJA, which has been going for many, many years, hasn't it? Have you ever been?
Yeah.
And does it have other festivals? There's lots of juggling festivals in America, or?
Yeah, I mean there's hundreds. Our festival is one of the bigger ones for the West Coast. There's like Isla Vista, Portland Juggling Festival, and Humboldt Juggling Festival are the 3 big ones that we have. But I've been to the IJA a few times. I've done little circus history lectures and lectures on Clowns Without Borders and other things.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, juggling and festivals. Yeah, I think a lot of the clowns around who are around now were influenced by the juggling boom in the the 80s and the 90s. Yeah.
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 All right. How did you make the transition from it being a hobby into a profession? Because that's a big leap, or was it?
Yeah. When I started the Humboldt Juggling Society, which was the juggling club at Humboldt State University.
Yeah.
It had been around for 20 or 30 years by the time I got there, but it was just a practice session. You know, they go out to the town plaza on Saturdays for the farmers market and just practice with each other.
Now, you may hear a phone ringing, but don't worry, it's not mine. It's my wife's. we can edit this out, or I might leave it in. Let me just pass this to my wife. Hold on a second.
Hey, yeah, you got the bells on.
There we go. Well, that was a good call, actually. I'm going to make sure I turn my phone to silent. Here we go.
Yeah.
All right. So sorry, we're going back to it. So you're at the Humboldt University, and you're in charge of the juggling club.
I wasn't in charge just
But
then.
you're part of it.
A really juggler named Walter Beals was the president of the club when I joined, and he had a lot of fire. He was not fire juggling, but like, you know,
energy,
enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And so he was really motivational, just as a friend. And then the second year I was in college, I started the Humboldt Circus, and that was to be all about performance, because I had done a lot of acting and sort of directing, producing lights, all the different stuff you do as an actor.
Right.
And I wanted to add that to what the juggling club was doing, because with all the enthusiasm, there's so many performers and so many opportunities for us that I wanted to, you know, make a place where we didn't just
Don't worry about it. I can still hear you. Fine.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
I can see you again. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and so the Humboldt Circus gets to use all the resources of the university, their theaters and lights, and you know, students who are studying theater.
Yeah.
And they do a big production every semester, so 2 times a year. And as I was going to college, I got lots of experience being involved in those productions. And then during the summers, I would street perform at the farmers market. Where
street performing as well. Yes. Okay.
Do like kids shows. And and you probably have seen a lot of videos of me juggling on that plaza because I sent them to you when I first met you.
Yeah.
And so that's where I got my street performance experience. But street performance is more, it's like a little rougher than stage performance. You have to have it's a slightly different skill set. So,
yeah.
And I was learning how to street perform. I did my first street performance show before I started the Humboldt Circus, like my first summer out of college. So I was learning street performance without the aid of going to the Humboldt Circus. But now, if you're going to Humboldt State University, you can, get all the experience that I was learning on my own, just on the street. There's all these resources for people who know how to do it, and there's a friends and a network of people that can help you learn how to perform and be a professional performer instead of just a hobbyist.
Okay, I get it. I can see how it works.
Yeah.
So let's see. So if you're involved in the Humboldt Circus and you're also doing one man street performing shows, so you have which do you prefer? Do you prefer being part of a big group, or do you prefer doing a one-man act?
Well, I guess I like being in a larger show. Just I don't know. It's kind of exhausting to do like an hour-long solo show, and but I mean I appreciate the freedom as a solo performer, because you're just practicing with your own material, and you get to edit and change, and you get to have a lot of individual feel like your personality is part of it. But through working with the Humboldt Circus, I started every summer, getting a group of friends together and creating a show with a story.
Yeah.
So we had a little show that was about pirates, and we'd go to festivals with our pirate show, and then we had one where we were cowboys, and eventually just sort of went, we're a circus. And I kept changing the name of the troupe because we were just doing it in the summer. And so eventually it became Free Love Circus, and it was, just a circus.
Well, that's one of the things.
The elephant would get loose, or we'd have a dragon that like ate a clown or something, and just have silly plots like that. But yeah, I guess I prefer working with a lot of people because
and you also
the collaboration is a lot of fun.
Yeah, not only do you collaborate, but you're often in charge of it all, aren't you? Am I right? Because that's impressed me. You often seem to be the band leader, the director.
Yeah, and I mean, some of that, I tend to think of myself as an ensemble director. So all the members get a lot of freedom to input their personality into the show, and develop the script organically with everyone's input. But I mean, it comes down to who's calling the gigs and who's filling out the applications and whose like name is on the check at the end of the day or whatnot. So
and is it your name?
I'm usually that guy. I kind of like the production end of it, of figuring out all the details and making lists and checking them twice.
That's really impressive because I'm totally a one-man business, and whenever I'm in charge of anybody else, I don't really like being in charge of other people. I find it's too much stress. How do you?
Well, you do good as like booking other people to do their solo stuff.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like working with other people, but yeah, I like being like fully hands-on with the cast.
Yeah. Is most of your work ensemble work, or how much of your work is ensemble work, and how much of your work is solo work?
Well, right now I'm sort of doing my projects have sort of like evolved at this point, but in the past, it'd be I'd go and street perform every moment I can,
right? And
then if we're booking a festival, do 3 shows a day. But in between the 3 shows, I got 20 minutes to do my solo show, so it would be it'd just be like 50-50. Yeah. But the opportunities that I've had, thanks to you and Andy, when I do get hooked up guys, then I go and just crank out all these solo shows, 30 a month. So
okay, so just to clarify for anybody who's listening, Shea often comes over to places like Hong Kong and Singapore, and when you're here, you're doing the solo shows that I do, those kind of things, birthday parties and shopping centres. Yeah. How about how on earth do you get together a big group? Because that's something that I don't really know much about. And how do you handle the dynamics, the different egos? So many everybody who performs has a huge ego. How do you handle that?
Yeah, I found currently I'm working with the Enigma.
Yes, I've seen that. I saw a video on YouTube.
Pieces, yeah. Let me put my words together here. But I think working with a larger group and their egos, it's easier for me to like step into the director, stage manager, booking agent position rather than dealing with the egos, because when if my job is to make sure everything runs smoothly and I'm not in the spotlight, then everyone else gets to, if everyone gets their turn on stage, then everyone is happy. But if I do less, like, the way me and Enigma work is I'm just, like, booking him, like, his manager, kind of, and so he does his solo show, but I'm helping make sure that, all the bookings are there and that the set, all his merchandise is taken care of, and, that music and that everything surrounding his show is going over, and I'm not part of the show.
Oh, that's fantastic. So basically what you're doing is you lose your ego, you push your ego to one side, you let the other people do their thing on stage.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, my job is to enhance their egos. I want them to have egos because, I want them to be confident on stage.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah.
When you do get on stage, Is your on stage and off stage persona the same?
Um, I mean, I've done a lot of shows, so
Yeah.
I mean, I play characters sometimes, but
Ah.
in a street show, it's just me, and um, you know, it's just the exaggerated clown version of me, where
Okay.
you know, I'm not gonna stop to, talk about business of the details. It's just all action,
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah,
straight
yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so you play a lot. You enjoy playing different characters in different shows because I do that as well.
Yeah, you have great characters.
Yeah, when I was in Singapore in particular, every year I get the same client, so every year I'd have to like reinvent myself as a new character, and
Right.
yeah, I
Yeah.
enjoy that. In Hong Kong, I don't do that so much because I do a lot of birthday parties here, and
Right.
if you're too outlandish a character, the kids just won't get it. So it's just me at 110%, 150% at birthday parties.
Yeah, and I mean, in the side shows and the shows that I've been doing recently, and with Enigma, it's kind of, we're trying to be such individual, freaky people that it's not necessary to like put on a cape and pretend to be someone else,
Yeah.
because we just carry the character with us naturally.
Yeah.
But in the past, when I was starting off, like I said, we're a band of pirates. So I'm Scurvy Shea Dog, or
Yeah.
we're cowboys. So I'm like Slim Shady, the evil the evil cowboy or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Does I guess that must be pretty exciting to change the character. How long have you been doing this? When were you born, Shea? I'm guessing early 80s?
Yeah, I was born in '81,
All right.
and so I started acting in community plays and musicals, or school plays.
Yeah.
When I was 8 or 9 years old, and then when I was 16, I learned how to juggle, and that sort of I became obsessed from that on, and then I started doing street shows right when I got to college. So since I was 18, I've been doing my solo show, and then shortly after, or the troops that I started with were just sort of one off. The Pirates and the Cowboys were just like one off for one season. But then when I did Free Love Circus, I started that in 2007.
So
Yeah.
how do you keep your enthusiasm and your energy going? Because you've been doing it for quite a few years now.
Yeah, I mean, you have your little pinnacles just in your life, not necessarily even your career, but I got to a point where I'd done 3 juggling festivals, so I just had my experience. So you give it over to someone else, and then you start a new project, and I bought a house, so I own a house, and for a second there I was like, well, I've got my house, I got everything together. I don't really need to perform that much to take care of my house. I actually need to mow my lawn and do the next phase of life thing. But then another thing comes along where I wanted to further my education, so I went to the Coney Island Sideshow School, and then went to their convention just because I'd been to 20 or 30 juggling festivals. I wanted to go to the Sideshow Freak Coney Island convention. So I went there, and I met. It's if you look for it, you can just follow your you can just see.
I agree.
Since it's such a specific career choice, you can just every little thing you do every day leads you to open new doors, because
Yeah.
I mean, even if you're doing birthday parties and that's it, the kids are all different, or they're older, or with this kind of career, it's really easy to find something new in it.
Let's talk about some of your career. What are some of the highlights in your career? I heard from Brian that you went to the Edinburgh Festival a couple of years ago. That must have been a pretty big trip.
Yeah, I've been there twice. A lot. I mean, since I've been doing it for 16 years now. There's been a lot of really big, really awesome shows, and now that I have this much experience, the shows are just getting bigger and better. But the year I met you was probably there's highs and lows, of course, but earlier in that year I had just gone to Guatemala to do a Clowns Without Borders expedition. It's my first time out of the country, and it's humanitarian work, and it was like, the personal value that I gained from that, there's no money could describe how much I got out of that situation. And then, that with the encouragement of my mom and my family and friends, I dropped out of college for the next semester and decided to find an opportunity to go perform all over wherever I could. And I was just ready to give up being a student or a day job or whatever it was, and just go for it. And then lo and behold, I see an email from Hong Kong. So
okay.
And so then the gig that you got me in Singapore was actually another huge turning point, because before that I'd been doing little music festivals or arts festivals along the Pacific Northwest, and birthday parties and stuff, but not working for Big Ben Matthews. I mean, for me as someone who really wanted that opportunity, it was perfect, and I had a great time, and I felt like it was something that I could do, and I was succeeding.
Great. Well, for someone who's listening, I was working in Singapore from about 1994 until about 2004, and as I was leaving Singapore, I had all these contacts, and I thought, what can I do with this? So I sent out an email just kind of around the world, and Shea, you replied and said, yeah, I'll come to Singapore and do some of those shows once you're leaving, and you came over and you did a great job, didn't you? Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah, and I mean, turning points in your life can come in all shapes and sizes, and those are the good ones. But my mom passing away in a
tough year, big year,
act of God accident while I was there was a shocking and terrible thing to happen for me and my mom. But you were the friends that I'd made there, just in the month I was there, and with your support, I was able to get the support I needed and go back and take care of the business.
Yeah.
And it's sad. I miss her, and I would trade everything I have for her to be alive again. But I went back to Singapore 2 more times.
Yeah.
I went to Hong Kong, and the shows just kept getting bigger and better. And so it was after that year that I started the Free Love Circus, and I was like, okay, we don't need to pirate it up or cowboy it up too much or force a theme into it. The theme is circus, and we're just a circus, and I want it to be a business, so I'm gonna put my name on it, and they handle the paperwork and put my name on all the paperwork, so it's gonna be Free Love Circus.
So you're very you're quite extraordinary. You've worked all over the place. You've worked in Edinburgh, you've worked in America, of course, and you've worked in Singapore, you've worked in Hong Kong. Have you noticed any differences or similarities between different cultures, the shows differences in the audience or difference in the market, the industry?
Yeah, and I think as trying to make my living doing this, I've you have to be able to adapt or even have a completely different show. And so at the art festivals and music festivals, it's I don't know, people are camping out, and it's like a party kind of, but there's kids, and so it's like a friendly family sort of feeling. But then all the work I've done with you and Andy in Asia, that's been I mean, it's not like I'm working for Disney or anything, but it's there's contracts and things to sign, and it's in fancy hotels or or something, and the
Yeah, that's
you know,
right.
I'm a
That's
clown.
what.
I'm trying to have fun, but just the environment was more like not strict, but it was more formal.
Yeah. My friend Andy said the same thing. He's from Australia, and he said in Australia he just calls someone up and say, "Hey, I do this stilt walking show," and they say, "Yeah, come along to our festival." But when he came to
Yeah,
Hong Kong, he found he had to have an official business. He couldn't just be an individual. They wouldn't respect him unless he had an official business and signed contracts, and it's quite official here.
well, for a kid who wanted to make a break, you know, coming to Singapore and having it be so official, it made it feel like it was a job, and you know, I wasn't just like going over to play and get paid for it. It was, you know, I had to be on my game, and that was probably really encouraging for me to continue doing that with all, you know, my other projects wherever I was.
Yeah, and you did a great job. It was really you did a really good job in Singapore. It was really a pleasure having you over there.
Yeah, well, I think I'll probably see you again someday.
Yeah.
It's not planned yet, but we'll book it. It'll happen.
Um.
And let's see, then doing the Clowns Without Borders.
Yeah. Tell us
Exhibition.
what is Clowns Without Borders?
Clowns Without Borders is a non-government nonprofit organization, and they have different. There's about 7 or 8 countries, I believe, that have you know, offices for Clowns Without Borders that operate out of the country, and there's a clown in Humboldt that was a member of it, and I just thought he was a Rudy Galindo. He lives in Belgium now, but he was also a very big influence for me.
Rudy
So
Galindo.
Clowns Without Borders sends small groups of clowns to areas of crisis to give relief in the form of laughter to children. That's the goal for Clowns Without Borders.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I went to Guatemala. Just the situations felt very similar in the Kenya as well as in Guatemala because of the nature of it was the humanitarian expedition, and those performances were much different than either the festival circuit or the Hong Kong or Asian gigs.
Yeah. Wow.
The Guatemala tour, the children had just survived Hurricane Stan, which took over 1,000 lives, and we came about 2 or 3 months after the flood, and we went to refugee camps and performed for these kids who had just lost their home, probably family members, and you know, really didn't have a reason to laugh and smile, and you could see like the pain and sorrow in their faces. But you know, you really, when people say, you know, oh, laughter's useful, I'm so glad that you do what you do. You know, if you're a street performer, you're really doing it to like pass a hat and like get your next meal.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, Clowns Without Borders, like that laugh was really valuable for those people when I was there, and it carried with me for the rest of my life. Yeah.
What's your so you've got many aspects to what you do. You've got your solo shows, you've got your ensemble shows which you direct. You've done work for Clowns Without Borders. You come over to places like Singapore and Hong Kong where you have lots of more corporate shows where you've got to sign contracts. What's your favourite kind of show? What was your dream show? What would be the best show for you?
Well, I guess I don't know.
You've done
My
birthday
dream show
parties.
is never gonna be perfect, and that's kind of like the nature of how I like to see the art. Is
Yeah.
that it's always evolving. There's always. It's not that it's not a good show. It's just that you could add something to it. You could put a little cherry on top, or you know, just change it up for no reason. But
Yeah.
The dream show would be, you know, I'm just trying to piece all these parts together where the festival circuit was more like center ring show, and then I started having like little merchandise booth, and then I have like Fiji mermaids and shrunken heads, and put them in a tent, and it's like I'm trying to build the midway, and hang up the banner line, and so I guess in my mind I want to like recreate the circus that doesn't exist anymore that I never got to see. Ringling Brothers before they started doing stadiums,
Right.
Okay, I'm back.
It's okay.
you got the big center ring in the back, and you got the sideshow tent on the side, and you got the banner line with all the freaks and sideshow on it, and then you got your popcorn candy and animals and petting zoo, and you got the whole midway, just like
you're a real old school circus enthusiast, aren't you? You collect the stuff. You have a circus emporium, is that right? Lots of old memorabilia.
Yeah. I have my home. I turned into sort of a private museum.
Yeah.
And 1 month a year, I open it up to all the schools to bring classes in. I give them a nice like hour tour with little performances in it. And I got posters and old posters and old clown memorabilia and juggling stuff, and just all over the house. And I also tour with like a 10 by 10 circus emporium, auditorium, mobile museum.
Wow.
And that I can set up at fairs, and that's a different kind of performing because I'm sort of describing my little carnate story about all these taxidermy things or whatnot. But
God, you do so many things. So you also
and I
tour with your.
Moved to Denver, and I'm working on opening another museum there.
Okay, so wow, so you do ensemble stuff. You go to festivals. You come to Hong Kong and do solo shows. You also have your kind of traveling museum, and you talk about that. Oh, you do lots of stuff. That's amazing. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and if there's I'll get bored of what I'm doing, and I'll find something new to do.
Yeah.
I'm sure at some point too. Yeah.
So you were saying
it'd be cool to own an elephant someday.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of work.
Elephant. You were saying that sometimes you change things up when you're doing a show. Do you do any? How much do you improvise when you're on stage? And how much of it is pre-planned?
A lot. I mean, if there's an act where I've done it so many times that I know the lines and I know how to make the act work, no matter if there's a heckler in there, what age of the audience, and I just have the act down. You can probably tell in the way I'm performing it that it's just okay. It sounds, but improvisation is fun. I love improvising. So if I can, if you see me do a stock act and then someone, drops their backpack or something, then just stop your pre-rehearsed routine and focus on whatever just happened. And I think that these little gems that happen while we're performing.
Exactly. Yes, I love that kind of stuff.
It feels weird to me to if a siren drives by while you're trying to do your show, to just ignore it and not mention it. And not improvise. Then you're missing out on this moment that.
Yeah, there was a great bit. One of my first ever shows. I was doing a show at the Singapore Arts Festival, and I was juggling fire clubs on my big unicycle, the traditional big finish, and I juggled the fire clubs, and I jumped down, and at that moment a fire engine went past with its siren on. Brilliant. And I went, so I was like, it's okay, nothing's on fire, we're all right. Yeah, it's lovely when things like that happen. I agree. I think for me, I have my stuff that I've done for 20 years or more, and that I can do on autopilot and still enjoy it. But I'm sort of on autopilot. But I like to jump off the beaten track and just go off on a tangent. If something happens, if someone drops a backpack or someone turns up late or something funny happens in the audience, just go for it and see where it leads you.
Yeah, and I also like to do that with the larger the larger ensemble shows where, if we're at a festival and someone really likes us and
Yeah.
let's say they want to give us a costume or something because they're vending costumes, then, we might as well make up a new act or change a character's costume and make the next show just, a little bit different. But I do it through a summer and maybe book maybe 30 shows in a summer. And so by the show that we started with would be really rough. By the end, it might be a completely different show.
Yeah.
It just evolves through the season.
And when you're doing an ensemble show, I mean, it's pretty easy to improvise. Well, it's easier to improvise if you're doing a solo show because you're not going to throw any other performers off course. But in an ensemble act, can you still improvise? Are your performers up for that?
Yeah. I try and develop a structure that works with the characters.
Yes.
And then you can sort of use the structure to give the performers more freedom. I usually always try and get every act or every individual their time on stage to do whatever they want. And then also I think audience participation is important. So trying to get performers to have an interactive act that involves the audience is always going to create improvisation. So you just developing before you even do the first show, develop it with flexibility so that improvisation can be included.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, let's talk about some individual. Let's get down to some nitty gritty then. Have you had any really bad gigs? Everybody has, right? Have you had any things where everything's gone wrong? What was your worst gig ever?
Well, street performance is nice because you get a chance to try new material without it being a corporate gig.
Yes.
So, for the corporate gigs, I generally try and do the stuff I know is fail safe.
Yes.
But I was doing your big balloon act in one place, and they specially requested it, really wanted me to do it, and then I get there and the ceiling's 8 feet, and I had to climb into it from the side. And I don't know. There's funny blocking, all sorts of stuff of the big balloon on top of your head, not leaning over with. Yeah, it is. It's just awkward. I sort of things like that all happen. Where you're just not, even if you have all your fail safe stuff, the situation or setting might just throw you for a loop.
Yeah, the act there's
one funny one was luckily I was doing it in a street show, but gather a nice crowd and pitch that I was gonna have a Mortimer the Mite, and it was gonna be a one flea circus, and he was gonna jump through a hoop, and it was rigged it so that this invisible mite ripped the paper in a little hoop, and then it was made of flash paper, so you light it on fire, and then it's jumping through a fire hoop. But the paper didn't pull, and then the flash paper, I had put white gas on it or something, and it evaporated, and so now the flash paper wasn't even flash paper anymore. So it was I built up this big ending.
Oh no!
And it was the first time trying it. I was really excited about it, and then it's I'm trying to pretend that there's a flea there, and it's nothing's working, and then the whole illusion was ruined. But that can happen too. That make acts difficult, where even if it's not a prop malfunction, but it could be that siren that goes by, could be at the exact wrong time, where we like to have our shows have a big crescendo at the end. So if you get messed up right before that crescendo, it sort of blows it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just recap for the listeners. So the giant balloon act is there. It's become a classic now, where you have a huge 2-meter balloon and the performer climbs all the way inside it. Sure, when you're doing it in places like Singapore and Hong Kong, often the ceilings are way too low and it's really hard to do that act. And then, yeah, props going wrong, things not lighting. I've had problems with that. Definitely. And yeah, maybe you at the end of your show you want to build to a climax, a crescendo. So if there's an interruption, then it can be troublesome. That's true. Do you structure your shows? Do you have a particular way you structure the shows? A general way?
Yeah, and I mean, my really solid half-hour show has been kind of shaped by you and Andy a lot, because the shows were corporate, and
yeah,
you know, I had to really get something solid and not be messing around. So the pacing would start out with, you know, the different props have more like value and danger. So they have like a juggling club or a juggling knife.
Yeah.
And so you can move through the props and be like, you know, balls, clubs, rings, and then
each one gets more dangerous.
Each one gets an act, and then eventually you get to like the dangerous stuff that could potentially kill you.
Yeah.
And, I usually, and so like fire, that's something I put at the end, and then you know, I have my one big final act, which is the one that I can't blow, and so.
What is your one big final act at the moment?
Well, when I was doing it for you, it was the double-decker rollabola.
Oh yeah, that's right. You've got
Tower of Death. But when I'm street performing in America and I have more freedom, then I try and switch it up, because street shows I don't have to do half an hour. I can do like 15 minutes and try and pass the hat before people get bored or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I just do like in the beginning, do something big that fills the air and gets everyone together around, and then just go straight into the finale. And so in America, I'll do Walking on Broken Glass, or I'll do Straight Jacket, or you know, so doing some sort of acrobatics where I stand on audience members. And so yeah, we have like introducing myself and the props, and a little slow build at the beginning, and then some sort of dangerous prop, fire, knives, or something, and then like the big finale that I've got all the pattern words worked out for.
Yeah.
And then I try and do audience participation every other act. I try and get like 10 people on stage and half an hour if I can. Yeah. And so that that's my formula, kind of, I guess.
Yeah, I think you're right. You can always increase the interest of the audience whenever the act starts to lag. You just bring some volunteers on stage and do stuff, and that can really change the energy on stage. Yeah, I agree. How about
and for kids, like the birthday parties, you know, these kids, I'm making them stars. It's like important, and the parents and everyone recognizes that like this little kid gets to, you know, have all the attention and, you know, gets the applause.
Yeah, I think at birthday parties,
powerful, you know?
the first volunteer should be the birthday kid. Definitely, I think that's a big one. Very important.
Yeah, and in the Clowns Without Borders gigs involving doing a lot of audience participation, there is, I mean, we're all people, and people are all the same all over the world, but the culture is just so dramatically different if you're in like the rural foothills of Kenya, and breaking that cultural boundary by, you know, getting the kid and letting them, you know, be a part of my world as much as I'm being a part of their world. I think that there's, you know, it helps their brain be more open to like all the crazy possibilities that can happen in the world.
Yeah. And also I found that as a clown, you can get away with so much you wouldn't normally be allowed to get away with. Stuff that would be considered totally politically incorrect, or when you put the red nose on, or anything that symbolises that once the audience knows that you're a clown, you can break lots of cultural boundaries, you can really go quite far and have a lot of fun, I find. And open people up.
And you can also be the coyote clown, not the helpful humanitarian clown.
Oh, yeah.
Since I own a house in a small town in Northern California, and I've lived there for 15 years and learned how to perform there, and I've been doing it for so long. I have my little local celebrityism there, but that
brilliant.
So I've done things where, since I know the town and the event so well, they have this little race thing that starts from the noon siren that goes off on the plaza.
Mm-hmm.
So I took a recording a couple weeks before the race.
Yeah.
Recorded the siren, took a huge sound system up to the roof of the building on the plaza, and set off the noon siren 5 minutes early. So all the racers, they gotta do a loop around the plaza and then go off for the rest of the race course.
Yeah.
And I set them off 5 minutes early, and so they're all confused. It's not noon yet, and then the real siren goes off, and they all, riding backwards and all confused.
You're a local celebrity.
That darn clown, and it's harmless,
and they let you, and it's okay. I mean, if you weren't a clown, that would be an act of vandalism, and it'd be something that'd be like, what's he doing? How could he do that? What this stupid guy. But when you're a clown, you can really you can change the way people view the world, and you can open people up. I mean, I do things. I'm doing some stilt walking at a carnival in Hong Kong at the moment, and I have a big pole to help me just walk over the bumpy ground. And so, of course, every now and then I just start doing pole dancing, which is totally inappropriate. Totally inappropriate at a children's carnival, but for some reason they seem to love it. It's fine because I'm a clown, and then everybody can have fun.
Yeah. I really like the sort of freedom in society I have by this career choice, because I want to make a difference in the world, but I'm not actually feeding people. I'm not curing the sick, but I know that what I'm doing is influencing people.
I think it does.
To think critically, at least, about it. If it doesn't affect how their life, then at least it makes them think critically about what I'm doing and what not to do or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, some people treat life so seriously, especially in places like Singapore and Hong Kong.
Oh,
that's okay. I'm still there. Yeah, people treat things so seriously, especially in places like Singapore and Hong Kong, and I think we do have quite an important social role. If I'm being a bit pretentious, maybe it sounds too pretentious, but we do. The fact that we show people it's okay to be silly, it's okay that just fooling around is a worthwhile thing to do. You don't have to. I mean, what is life? We're here for such a short time. If you're lucky, you get 90 years. And if you spend it all the time behind a desk, not smiling, maybe that's a waste. I think we do have an important social role.
Yeah, and other people don't have to do crazy things. We can do it viscerally for them, and just that memory might inspire them to, make a positive choice for themselves in a different way.
Yeah, I think so. Wow. Oh, this is good. It's very, very insightful. Yeah, so my life's not a complete waste of time. Excellent.
Yeah. No, this is great. It's really, I think this is a really great project, and thanks again for having me on the interview. And I really hope you keep doing it and keep, asking us performers these questions, because I don't think you're gonna find a performer who says, they would approach it like you would a normal day job. They're not doing this just for the money.
No.
If you work at a gas station, then you go behind the register of the gas station so that you can get paid or whatever. Or if you have real love of gas or something, then maybe you'd get something more out of it. But I think that there's something more esoteric for us performers, where there's a huge amount of our soul and our heart and our intellect that goes into our art that
Damn it, Shea, you're inspiring me. You're inspiring me. I've got to go out later on and do 6 hours of stilt walking for my 10th day in a row, and I'm quite inspired now. Thank you, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Anytime. I do what I can.
Okay, I think that's a great place to end, Shea.
Great. Well, thanks again for having me on, and I hope I get to see you sooner.
Yeah, I hope to get to see. Well, I'm seeing you. Yeah, hope you see you in person again sometime soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, brilliant, Shea. Thanks for talking, man. So that was Shea, great guy. I've known him for years. Right when he was starting, I was the first person to bring him over from America to work in Singapore. And so I've known him for ages, but mainly long distance. Mainly he's been in America, and I've been in Singapore or Hong Kong. So it was really good to talk to him and meet up with him. Please do check out his website, www.freelovecircus.com. And if you are an entertainer and you'd like to be interviewed, or you know someone who might be up for it, then do contact me. My website is www.thebigbenshow.com. And you can email me there at ben@thebigbenshow.com. Alright, and I'm off to do some stilts in central Hong Kong. Wish me luck, hope I don't break a leg. Take care, talk to you next time.